pleasure to be with you and great to be following three politicians at a local level, at a provincial level, at a federal level. Because one of the most difficult things in cluster development is getting alignment amongst different stakeholders, building the teamwork. I've been watching this morning a little bit the France-Morocco soccer match. And one of the key things in soccer, as in any sports game, is the teamwork that develops. Teamwork is essential to competitive edge in soccer, as it is within regional clusters, as it is within building regional businesses, such as the business that Gavin talked about a moment ago. I've had the opportunity to work with many food clusters around the world, in Denmark, in Sweden, in Lithuania, even Ukraine. Great to see the flag of Ukraine on the minister's table a moment ago. In Portugal, in different corners of Spain, food clusters that are often taking quite a broad approach to developing their local agendas. And by quite a broad approach, I mean often starting inside the farm gate, including the food processors, including often the food ingredient suppliers, other suppliers, including food packaging companies, perhaps the insurance companies that we were hearing about, the insurance brokers, and a neat angle that came through earlier, including often in a food cluster, the restaurants, the food chefs, including the food brokers, including the retailers. So describing in this sense, many of the food clusters that I've met, taking a much broader approach than just a sector. And in part, it is the broader approach, the ecosystem, that really is on your agenda. And part of that agenda is in different ways blowing your trumpet. And blowing your trumpet supported by the new brand, the Fresh brand, that is being launched today. I've got three key points that I want to share with you. First point, strong clustering initiatives have broad development agendas. Broad agendas that respond particularly to the needs of firms, that respond to identifying choke points amongst firms, common choke points, common development agendas, common opportunities. And then typically a clustering initiative responds to those and responds perhaps with needs-driven training. Perhaps it's collaborative R&D initiatives. It's certainly blowing your trumpet way beyond Saskatoon, perhaps way beyond Canada. Participating perhaps together in trade fairs in Toronto or elsewhere. Different types of collaboration within a cluster. Some projects open to all, such as developing a regional brand, perhaps a training program. But other projects often more commercial, more confidential, perhaps 3-4 food companies, but working together to attract the attention of a Toronto distributor. Maybe 3-4 companies working together to the first time, share an export manager and to substantially engage in export development. Maybe 2-3 companies joining together, realizing that they've got a common waste product, and perhaps together they can better add value to that waste product. So some collaboration within a clustering initiative open to all, other more private collaboration. And often in any cluster, it is a cluster manager who knows the key people and is able to see where there are common agendas and is able to bring people together around those common agendas. Second bullet point I want to share with you, local buzz, global pipelines. It's developing the local buzz. This is in part what you're doing with this launch in Saskatoon. Local buzz, yes, it takes advantage of people zooming in, but particularly as we move beyond COVID, anywhere in the world, it is taking advantage of face-to-face connections, the old-fashioned eyeballing, a key ingredient in many clustering initiatives is a bit of after-match lubrication, alcoholic lubrication. It is often the informal conversations, the informal discussions that spark an innovation, that spark a realization perhaps between two companies, maybe even two competitors, that realize, hey, you know, we've got some common agendas, we've got some common pressure points. So it's the local buzz, the social glue. It's knowing who is who within your zoo in Saskatoon. But it is also very much building the global pipelines to bring in customers, perhaps from afar, to bring in new knowledge, perhaps to bring in new investment that addresses a competency gap or extends the capabilities that you already have in Saskatoon. Third point, I want to talk about co-opetition. And co-opetition meaning, in part, yes, our businesses compete, but our businesses also have the maturity, also have the ability, the trust to collaborate, particularly collaborate in non-strategic areas. And as I mentioned, a bit of alcoholic lubrication can help here. But it's not just co-opetition amongst businesses. It is also co-opetition amongst clusters around the world. Indeed, a lot of funding from Brussels, from the European Commission today, is to link, for example, food clusters across Europe, in part to enable those food clusters to do business with each other within Europe, but also to develop the critical mass to attract other markets way beyond Europe, such as North America, such as China, such as the Far East. So building this culture of co-opetition, and it takes time. And it's often businesses joining forces initially, perhaps realizing that without sharing too much, we can collaborate in joining forces for packaging, or collaborate in joining forces to reduce freight costs out of Saskatoon. And then realizing as trust develops, actually, we can also join forces in more substantial ways. And businesses perhaps realizing, hey, if that's the equipment you've got, or if that's how you work in engaging with your insurance broker, perhaps there are ideas there that I can absorb in my business. So it becomes a win-win across the cluster. As I sign off from New Zealand, I want to congratulate you on your journey. I want to congratulate Prairie Can, want to congratulate the steering group, want to congratulate you in getting this initiative going. I sense you are well on track. I wish you well as you continue your journey into 2023. The future of this clustering initiative is now in your very capable hands. Thank you for inviting me to share with you a few thoughts from New Zealand. Thank you.